clearance. It derives from electromagnetic theory. Okay, so let's again. Wait lang. Okay, so let's move back to the So we're just going to start the discussion, the real discussion for today. So as I tell you earlier, so we have here what we call the Fresnel clearance. Fresnel or Fresnel clearance. Fresnel clearance ang tawag. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so what do you mean by Fresnel clearance? So it derives from electromagnetic wave theory that a wave front has expanding properties as it travels through space. This factor must be added to the obstacle height to obtain an effective obstacle height. Normally, ang pinag-uusapan natin kasi pag nag-aano tayo, di ba? Pag naghahanap tayo ng obstacle or yung height ng obstacle dun sa path ng ating path ng microwave signal natin is that we only find what is, at the middle of the signal. Tama po ba? Ang pinag-uusapan lang nyo lagi is yung nasa gitna. Tama ba? Yung straight path na to. Tama po ba? Yung sinasabi ko? Di ba magmula noong umpisa, yun pa lang yung pinag-uusapan lagi natin. Dadaan ba? Makikita ba? Magki-clear ba dito sa signal na to? So, yung ganong signal, anak, hindi yun totoo. Sa wave theory natin, yung wavefront, electromagnetic wavefront na tinatawag, as the signal travels, yung signal natin nagdi-disperse or kumakalat. So as you can see here, the signal from the transmitter going to the receiver got a little bit bigger yung area niya until midpoint. And then from the midpoint, lumiliit uli siya papunta dun sa kabilang dulo, yung signal natin. So ibig sabihin, hindi lang itong gitna na to ang kailangan nating i-clear. Ibig sabihin, kailangan nating i-clear yung area na to, itong area na to, yung Fresnel clearance natin na to. So kailangan yung obstacle natin dito, hindi siya didikit or hindi siya aabot dun sa Fresnel clearance na sinasabi natin. Naintindihan nyo ako? Hindi lang yung gitna na to ang i-clear nyo. Dapat yung buong Fresnel clearance ay cleared dun sa obstacle. Halimbawa, may isang puno dito, hindi dapat didikit dito yung puno, yung sa ano na to, kasi magkakaroon na yun ng refraction ng signal. Kasi magbabounce na dun yung signal at kung saan na to pupunta. Okay? So, o kaya wala dapat building dito na mag-o-obstruct nung sa signal natin na didikit dun sa ating tinatawag na Fresnel clearance. Are we good? Okay tayo doon? Naintindihan yung sinasabi ko? So, by the way, Fresnel clearance, the person who discovered about the Fresnel clearance is Augustin Fresnel. Okay? He is a French physicist that defined the propagation of radio wave as three-dimensional elliptical path between the transmitter and the receiver. So kung papansinin niyo to, para siyang ellipse. Kaya lang three-dimensional yung ellipse niya. Ayan. So ayan yan. Okay? So yan yung pinag-uusapan. Siya yung naka-discover na pag daw pala pag daw binabalibag natin yung signal, lumalaki ito yung area nung from the start hanggang sa gitna, which is the highest or the biggest area. Tapos afterwards, liliit uli ito hanggang sa makapunta sa dulo. So Fresnel divided the path into several zones based on the pace and the speed of the propagation. As you can see here, this is the first zone, the second zone, the third zone, hanggang sa magkaroon pa ng ilang zone hanggang umabot sa mid-range natin. At the mid-range, this is the highest area na meron yung signal mo. And then afterwards, it becomes maliliit na naman ito as it goes to the receiver end. Okay? So the length of the path increases, the size of the Fresnel zone also increases. So pag daw lumalayo yung ating distance, lumalaki or mas lumalaki pa yung Fresnel clearance natin na dapat sundin. As the frequency decreases, the size of the Fresnel zone increases. So ibig sabihin, pag meron kang maliit na frequency, halimbawa 1 Hz, so mas malaki yung Fresnel clearance na kailangan niya. Okay? So ulitin ko sa inyo, as the frequency decreases, the amount or the area of Fresnel zone also increases, or the size of the Fresnel zone increases. Okay? Pag bumaba yung signal mo, ay yung frequency mo, tataas yung Fresnel zone. Okay? Fresnel zone radius are greatest at the midpoint. At the path, therefore, the midpoint required the most clearance of any in the path. So, dapat daw, dito, sa gitna natin, ito yung sabi ko sa inyo, at midpoint, lumalaki, pinakamalaki. And then after 1, it decreases. So, yung clearance natin dito, mas malaki kesa dun sa umpisa hanggang dun sa kabilang dulo. Kakaintindihan po tayo. Are we good with that?
Yes, sir. Sir, pa-accept nga daw po ng iba.
Ay, meron pa ba? Dali, tap ko lang. Okay, so let's move. Okay. Okay. So let's go back here. So, okay. So, Fresnel clearance. Lang meron na naman. Okay, so let's go back to the discussion. Okay. So we have here the Fresnel clearance. So the Fresnel zone radius, the amount of the additional clearance that must be allowed to avoid problems with the Fresnel phenomenon, is expressed in what we call the Fresnel zone. So the formula for Fresnel zone is, for the first Fresnel zone is in pit tayo ha, in pit. This is 72.1 square root of the quantity D1 multiply it by D2 in miles all over the frequency in gigahertz multiply it by the distance in miles. Uulitin ko, 72.1. So the first Fresnel zone is equals to 72.1 square root of the quantity D1 multiply it by D2 both in miles all over the frequency multiply it by the distance. The frequency must be in gigahertz and the distance must be in miles, sorry. Yung D1 at D2, ito yung distance natin dun sa first obstacle na meron kayo. Yung pinakamataas na obstacle na meron yung system natin. So yun yung D1, yun yung distance from the transmitter, and D2 is the distance from your receiver. Yung frequency natin is the frequency that you're going to use, and the distance is the maximum distance or the total distance from transmitter going to your receiver. So we have here also another, what do you call this one? Formula that is used for if we're going to use the meter as our unit. So we have 17.3 square root of D1 multiplied by D2. Both of these are in kilometers all over the quantity frequency in gigahertz multiplied by distance in kilometers. So these are the two formula for Fresnel zone. So kung sabi dito, 60% of the Fresnel zone radius or 0.6 F1, a situation where there is no net change in attenuation or no gain no loss condition occurs when 60% of the first Fresnel radius clear at the pad obstruction in microwave system. So, ano ibig sabihin nun? So, yung unang-una daw na Fresnel zone natin, for example, this is your first Fresnel zone. Dito, 60% of this area, nandoon yung wala tayong loss or walang gain na nangyayari sa system natin. More than that, meron na tayong nagiging loss hanggang makarating dun sa kabilang dulo. Nakuha ko? Guys, nakuha ba?
Yes po, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So, ulitin ko ha, saang area? Sa 60% ng Fresnel zone, doon tayo walang gain or walang loss na nangyayari dun sa signal natin. More than that, nag-uumpisa na yung losses natin or yung pagkawala ng ibang signal natin. Okay? So, ito, pag sinabi nating first Fresnel zone, ito yun. Dito natin kinukuha. Saan ba dun sa layo na to? Saan yung first Fresnel zone mo hanggang sa second, third, fourth, fifth, hanggang sa kung saan ilang numero ba yung hinihingi sa inyo. So, if you're going to take more than the first Fresnel zone, halimbawa, fifth Fresnel zone, 10th Fresnel zone, sa sinasabi, ang gagawin mo dito, yung F1, gagawin nating F10, tapos yung dito sa distance, magmumultiply kayo ng N, which is the number of the Fresnel zone. Dito yun sa distance ng D1 and D2. Hana? Okay po ba tayo? Okay
Yes,
po ba kayo? Okay, anak, ang kukunin lang natin dito is yung the biggest obstruction dun sa area natin. Kung saan may pinakamalaking obstruction dito sa area na to. Ano? Baka naman marami kayong obstruction dyan, kukunin nyo lahat. Hindi po. Doon na lang tayo sa may pinakamataas na obstruction. Kasi yun lang naman yung may tendency dumikit dun sa ating tinatawag na Fresnel zone. Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, so another formula, if you want, if you already know the first Fresnel zone, if you know already the first Fresnel zone, all you need to do is multiply it to the square root of the number of the Fresnel zone. So, pwede din yun. Hindi mo na kukunin. I-multiply mo na lang. Are we good? I-multiply mo na lang siya doon. Hindi mo na siya kukunin. Hindi mo na siya gagamitin yung D1, D2, F1, kung alam mo na yung first Fresnel zone. Pero pag hindi pa, gumamit ka muna nito. Yung buong formula. I-multiply mo yung N dun sa D1, D2. Okay? So, we're good?
Yes,
So,
sir.
we have here a sample problem. So, a sample problem, solve the height extended in feet for an obstacle situated in miles away from a 35 miles microwave system. Assuming if the tree grows exists, add 40 feet for the trees and 10 feet to the additional growth using 6 gigahertz as the frequency and your 60% of the Fresnel zone. So, anong unang dapat nating gagawin? Ano daw ba yung hinahanap? You are going to solve, you are going to solve for the height, total height extended in feet for an obstacle situated 27 miles away from the 35 miles microwave system. Sino nakakaintindi? Ano daw ibig sabihin nung ano? Anyone? I-drawing natin para mas madali. Okay ba yon? Bahala ka, sir. Hoy, baka gusto nyo naman akong sagutin.
Sige po, sir.
Okay. So, sabi daw, meron ka daw, eto unahin natin, meron ka daw 35 miles na microwave. So, meron kang total distance, sorry. Ayan, sabi ko na mabagal yung ano ko eh. Okay? So, meron kang dalawang microwave. Okay? Yung microwave natin, meron siyang total distance of what? 35 miles. Ayan, may 35 miles distance ka daw ng microwave mo. Ngayon, meron daw tayo at the 27th mile away from the your obstruction, meron ka the 27th, ito parimbawa ayan yun. At the 27th miles, meron kang obstruction na nag-e-exist. Assuming ito ay isang puno. Isang puno daw. add 40 feet for the tree. So, yung ano natin, yung height ng tree ay 40 feet. So, ang tendency ng puno ay tumaas pa. So, mag-a-add tayo ng 10 feet pa sa pagtaas ng puno for additional growth. So, use 6 gigahertz as your frequency and at 0.6 or 60% of the Fresnel zone, first Fresnel zone. Ano yung hinahanap? Hanapin nyo daw yung total height nung extension ng puno. So, in getting the total height, total height of the nung puno is equals to the earth curvature. Ayan. Ito na naman sa earth curvature. So, the earth curvature plus the Fresnel zone. So, Fresnel zone. And plus, ano? Yung puno. Yung tree height. Okay. Yung tree height plus yung extension natin, ha? Plus the extension. Siyempre, kailangan natin yung 10. So, unahin natin i-solve yung earth curvature daw natin. Ano yung earth curvature na nga natin? In miles? What is the formula? Anyone? Hello? Anong formula daw, anak? Nung earth curvature in miles? Wala ba akong kausap? Sino nag-ano kahapon? Wala ba man lang nag-take down notes kahapon? Feliciano?
Sir, ano ba yung earth curvature in feet equals D1, D2 over 1.5K po?
Uy, parang may kulang dun. Merong numerical value sa unahan. Tsaka yung ano, K-factor. Nawawala. Ay, sorry. Mali. Ulitin natin. sorry. Asan na ba ako? Ulitin natin. D1, multiply it by in feet. Multiply it by D2 in feet. And then,
Over 1.5.
all over 1.5. Multiply it by K. Very good. Next. Fresnel zone. Ano daw ang formula ng ating Fresnel zone? Anyone? Uy, kanina lang. Di ba ito? So, we're going to use this one. Ito ha. Ito yung gagamitin natin. So, 72. Okay, we have here. So, 72.1. Multiply it by the square root of D1. Multiply it by D2. All over frequency. Multiply it by your distance. By the way, you have to multiply it by 0.06 kasi ang kinukuha lang natin ay yung distance sa 0.06 plus the height of the tree which is 40 feet plus the extension of 10 meters. Anyone? Can you answer? What is the answer here? So, ang gagawin lang natin dito, ano yung D1 natin? D1 is 27. Multiply it by 27 minus 35. 35 minus 27, ilan? Guys, ilan?
8 po.
8. Wait lang, merong pumasok. Padre na naman. Padre, patapos na kami. Ngayon ka lang pumasok, anak. Okay, let's move back. So, 27. Sorry. So, we have here 8. Sorry, nawala na naman siya. We have here 8 feet. Ayan, 8 feet. All over. Ay, sorry. This is not in feet. This is in miles, I mean. Okay, miles yan. Miles ito. Miles. Sorry.
Hello, sir. Excuse me po.
Pwede mo po ata nakashare?
Hindi po na, ano po.
Ay, hindi kayo nakashare. Sorry. Hindi siya nakashare. Eh, hindi naman ako nag-ano. Oo nga, hindi siya nakashare. Sorry. Pangit talaga ng sulat ko. Okay, let's move back. So sabi ko kanina, sabi ko dito, this is not in hindi to in feet. Asan na ba yung aking ano? Ito. Miles po ito, miles. Hindi to in feet, dapat ito in miles kasi yung distance nito ito. So 27 multiply it by 8, 1.5 multiply it by k. Ano yung k natin na gagamitin? Tandaan nyo anak, pag hindi ang sinabi ang k, ang ginagamit natin is k is in normal condition, which is k is 4/3. Okay? Kung hindi specify kung ano ang k at normal condition, ang ginagamit natin ay 4/3. Okay? So, we have here plus, bakit ayaw sumulat? 0.6, multiply it by 72.1, square root of D1, which is 27, multiply it by 8, multiply it by your frequency in gigahertz, which is 6, all over pala. Multiply it by your distance, total distance of 35 miles. Plus 50. Okay, anyone who could give me the Fresnel, so the total distance of your yung punong tumaas? Ano daw yung total distance dito? Ano daw yung tunay na distansya ng puno? Anyone?
Hindi ko lang po sure kung tama yung sa akin, 201.87.
Okay, 201.87. Anak, nag-ano ka? Hindi mo to, kinuntinyo mo yung pagko-compute. Wala ka munang ini-round off.
Wala po, tinuloy-tuloy ko.
Okay, tama yun. So, 201 point, where's that? Ano yung unit natin? 201.87
feet po.
feet. Very good. So, ito daw yung tunay na height ng puno. Dapat ito yung i-clear nyo dun sa in-between. Kasi, dapat hindi tatama yung yung Fresnel clearance doon sa puno na yon. So, dapat clear yan. So, ibig sabihin, ang i-adjust nyo, yung height nung antena nyo ang i-adjust nyo pag ganun. Nagkaintindihan tayo? Guys, nagkaintindihan tayo?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's move to the other subject or sample problem. Calculate the peak Fresnel zone radius to clear 35 miles radio link operating at 12 gigahertz if the first Fresnel zone radius is 61.57 feet. Ulitin ko. Calculate the peak Fresnel zone radius to clear at 35 miles radio link operating at 12 gigahertz if the first Fresnel zone radius is 61.57 feet. Okay. Anyone? Anong formula ang gagamitin natin?
Gagamitan po ba ng higher Fresnel zone radius na?
Ano? So what we're going to do is just use since given na daw yung yung first Fresnel zone mo at 61.57, tapos hinahanap mo lang naman yung PIP, di ba? O edi doon na lang sa dulo. So Fn is equals to F1 multiply it by the square root of n. Di ba? So you have F5. The first Fresnel zone is 61.57 feet. Multiply it by square root of 5. And that is what? And that is
1
Hello guys. Anong sagot? How about Miss Aliana? Miss Fernandez?
Sir, 137.67.
Is that the ano? 1.37.67 point ano pa?
67.47 po.
Ah, tama.
054.
Okay. Tama yon. So we have here 137.67 what? Anong unit?
Feet po.
Okay, guys, feet. Okay. So, sir, kung hindi po given yung first Fresnel zone, ano ang gagawin namin? Sir, hindi given itong first Fresnel zone, anong gagawin namin? Pinaka-calculate yung P Fresnel zone radius to clear 35 miles radio link operating at 12 gigahertz at 12 gigahertz lang. Walang first Fresnel zone. Anong gagawin nyo? You could, what? You could take the midpoint of the 35 miles distance. So, pwede nyong gawin, kukunin mo yung Fn is equals to 72.1 square root of yung distance natin which is 17.5 miles. Kasi gitna eh. 17.5 miles all over what? All over the frequency which is 12 gigahertz, multiply it by the distance of 35 miles. Tama po ba? Same answer po ba yung lalabas? Anyone? Mr. Sumera. Mr. Sumera, tama po ba?
Sir, wait lang po. Nakakalyo pa lang po.
Nakika-quantity nyo yung nasa loob ng square root ha. Naka-quantity yon bago kayo magano ha.
Apo.
Bago nyo i-multiply.
Sir, tama po. 61.
Ano, same.
Apo,
So
same.
137, 1,137.67 feet. Ay. Pindot ko na naman. So, tama po yon at 137.67 feet. Napindot na naman siya. So, ulitin ko na lang. So, F1 is equals to, F5 pala, is equals to 72.1 square root of your 17.5 miles multiplied by 17.5 miles over 12, sorry. That will be 12 gigahertz at saka 35 miles difference. Okay, so tama po yan. Ito yung answer. Or you could use the Fn is equals to, what do you call this one? F1, multiply it by the square root of n or 61.57 miles, feet, multiply it by the square root of 5. And that is the same as 37.67 feet. So are we good, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to give this na sa inyo kasi kompleto na. Mamaya, i-send ko na ngayon pagkayari natin. Okay? So, I think last maybe na rin. Stop na natin. Okay. So, this is it. Okay. Before we go, can I see your